Alright, yesterday's video didn't quite have the effect I wanted. It didn't have the opposite effect, which is good. It didn't quite, however, ram home. So, I'm going to attempt in this video two more attempts, two different tactics to try and I don't know, not so much jog somebody out of what they're doing, but jog somebody into the understanding of what they're thinking is going to happen. Right? So, there are a few aspects of myself, my personal self, that I have not shared with you guys to this point, because
mustn't ask us, not its business.
I have boundaries, right? It's important to have boundaries, especially when you're just talking to massive amounts of people that you don't know who the hell they are. Also, another big reason why I don't talk about specifically this one is because my dad watches my videos. Dad, you may remember when I moved in with you guys briefly as an adult, and I said to you, I get the whole it's my roof, my rules type thing, but I am an adult, so I will do my best to adhere to the rules as well as possible. But I'm an adult. Don't go looking for things you don't want to find. Right? This may be one of those times, Dad, you might not want to watch all of this. It's up to you. Ever since I was very little, I've always been enamored with death. My earliest brush that I can remember, we went to Mexico, and me and my sister, I was very young, baby, toddlerish young, and me and my sister were in a hot tub. I went under the water. She pulled me out. I don't know if there's actually like a mystical thing involved with it, where that brush then just inserted death halfway into my life for the rest of my life. But nevertheless, here we are. When I was, I had to have been around 6 or 7. I got the brilliant idea that I was going to hang myself from my brother's chin-up bar that he had, the door frame of our room. We had a whip, leather whip, that we coincidentally got, or coincidentally enough, got from the Mexico trip. And I was trying to tie it to the chin-up bar, and then I was going to tie it around my neck, and that was going to be that. I don't know why. I honestly don't. I didn't really have a great dislike of life back then. I was 6, 7, 5. I don't even know. Like, it wasn't like I was sad or depressed or just wanted to do it. I just wanted to do it. I'm not sure if I was so young that the consequences of such a thing hadn't even entered my mind, and I just figured it's something you can do. I don't know. But I tried. And again, my sister saw what I was doing and said, "What are you doing?" And, you know, and that stopped that. A few years later, I was at a friend's birthday, and the friend's birthday was at the local, pool. And it was the first time that I had ever jumped off of the diving board into the deep end. I am not a good swimmer. For whatever reason, my legs sink. And everybody tells me, you just gotta learn how to swim. Dude, I've taken swim classes. I've looked into this. I've had people try and teach me. And they all say the same thing. You're doing it right. I don't understand how you just sink. I just sink in water. I don't know what it is. I'm not buoyant. So I jump into the deep end for the first time. Not a good swimmer. So, I tried to paddle to the edge of the pool. But, when you're not a good swimmer, you don't go very fast in the water. And guy, luckily enough, just some random person in the pool who happened to be a good swimmer, grabbed me and pulled me to shore, to the edge. So there was that. Been multiple other times I've almost drowned. I've had car accidents that, honestly, I never should have survived. I've had a lot of brushes with death. One time, again with the fucking chin-up bar, I wedged my feet against the walls. Shimmied my way up the wall. I think I must have been, I don't even know, it was 13, 14 at the time, somewhere around there. Shimmied my way up the wall, and I was going to see if I could stick my head through between the top of the door frame and the chin-up bar. And I put both my arms in it, right? And I'm sitting there thinking about how I'm going to, do that. And my feet slipped. I was thinking to myself, what the fuck are you doing? And I pulled the one arm out, and then my feet slipped. And that was when I dislocated my arm. I dislocated my arm in a failed suicide attempt. I've tried cutting. It's just, I don't know. There's just a general malaise about life with me. I've always had it. And one of the reasons why I really don't drink anymore is because the last time that I ever got really well and truly shit-faced drunk, there was an event that happened. It was, we were filming a podcast. It was me, Dennis, and Tommy, and Brandon, who some of you may know. And we were going to do a podcast together. And we got really, really drunk. And I said some really bad things that really upset people. And then everybody just kind of up and left. That was the way it played out in my mind. It was late. We were ending anyways. And I was turning into an asshole because I was getting to that point in my drinking. And so everybody was like, alright, well, we're it's done now. And everybody just kind of left. But to me, it was a lot harsher than I had, than it actually was. And, I broke down. It was pretty bad. And I own a gun. And so I decided that I was done. That was it. And I figured what I would do so that I didn't lose nerve was pull back the receiver, cock it, just do it all in one quick, swift, fluid motion. And didn't work because the round got wedged into the chamber and bent. And I keep this bullet. I keep it on my bookshelf across from my bed so that I can always see it whenever I look that way. And the reason I keep it isn't to remind me of a failed attempt or anything like that. It's to remind me of the regret Like when you get to the point where you're actually gonna do it. Like when you get to the point where you're actually gonna do it. That's where you finally actually learn whether or not it's what you really want. And sometimes you don't get a second chance. I got a second chance, but I remember the regret. That was one of the things that struck me so much when Jake Paul came back and he did his first video that I thought was so wonderful before he turned back into a piece of shit. And he had that guy on that had jumped off the bridge trying to kill himself. And he told a story about how much he regretted. Like as soon as he jumped, he just got hit by this huge wave of regret. And sitting there looking at that bullet bent up in the chamber for the first time, it really, it sobered me in an instant. And it really made me consider what it was I was about to do. And it really, I don't know if I could say that it cured me of the desire. I still think about killing myself all the time because some days you just don't want to get out of bed and go to work, Some people consider taking a day off, and other people consider saying, fuck it all. I'm one of those type of fucking old people. But it certainly cured me of my desire to make an attempt. Now it's just a funny thought that I get all the time, and I kind of think of it and go, and I laugh at it, because I guess it must just be one of those things where I don't actively have those thoughts, they just come to me. So now, whenever I have those thoughts, I think of my bullet. And I think of the regret. Oops, and I think I just spilled gunpowder on myself. That was probably not good. Anyways. Alright. So, I don't know how anybody plans on doing it. But I'm going to tell you this much. Give yourself the opportunity to really let that regret sink in. Allow yourself to actually test the mettle of, do I wanna? Do I really, really wanna? Because I'm guaranteeing that there's a lot more people out there than me and that dude that Jake Paul talked to that tried and wound up deeply regretting it afterwards. But a lot of them can't tell you their story. And that's the fun thing of it. Because once it's done, it's done. That's it. Period. End. That's it. You really have to draw in the totality of that's it. No more. And if that doesn't work for you, then maybe you should consider that the people in your life have a right to know that this is your plan. Perhaps you should consider that it is wrong to not force, but allow other people to explain to your 6-year-old daughter why it is Mommy will never be seen again. I think that she deserves to hear from you directly how it is that this is going to be better for her at the end. To grow up without a mother. How this is going to save them all sorts of things. How this is going to be good for everybody. Should be able to explain that to a 6-year-old. It should be something that she should be able to understand. At the very least, you should make the attempt. I mean, think about it. You want to have somebody else do that? You want to allow somebody else to explain that to your kid? What are they going to say? Are they going to lie? Oh, it was a car accident. Mommy drove off the bridge, but it was a car accident. You know, you want them to have that conversation that you lied to me about what happened? Or what if they tell them the truth? And what if she winds up wanting to join you? My first attempt was at 6, roundabouts. I'd love to see my grandmother again. I'd love to see my grandpa. Love to see my friend Ron. Love to see my cousin Jamie. There's a lot of people in my life that are gone. And I'd love to see them again. You put that thought into the idea of a 7-year-old, in the mind of a 7-year-old, who doesn't realize you don't come back from that trip to go visit Mommy. The analogy about the suicide bomber is as good as it gets, folks. The people closest to you are decimated in ways you cannot fathom. There are consequences to every action we do, no matter how benign we may think they are. And almost all of the consequences of our actions are unintended. We cannot think through every possible scenario, every single thing that might happen. You need to figure out that when you're gone, that's when you're worthless. While you're still here, you have purpose. If for nothing or no one else, then for the 6-year-old. She has a right to know what's going on in your head. She is still dependent on you for survival. She has a right to know. And if it's because you're such a bad person, well, prove it. Look that little girl in her fucking eyes. Look that 6-year-old little girl in the eyes and tell her how this is going to make life better for her. Explain to her how this is a good thing. And then through her tears and her cries and her pleas to you to not do it, please Mommy, don't go. Through all of that, have the harshness of heart, have the real evil in you. To just look at her and go, no, you got to understand, sweetie, I don't care about you. I don't think you got it. I don't think you can do it. Because I don't think you're a bad person. A bad person could do that. Good people who want to do bad things, they go to people who don't fucking matter. They go to their favorite YouTuber and tell them. Because they figure, oh, well, they'll probably agree with me. They don't know me at all. Yeah, well, you went to the wrong guy, didn't you? I see through your shit. I know it too well. I'm far too familiar with the weak arguments. No, really, I'm super bad and I'm saving the world. Well, how many people have you murdered? How many hundreds? Go turn yourself in. They'll kill you. Don't worry about it. You ain't gotta do it yourself. If you're really that evil, if you're really that fucking terrible, horrible, turn yourself in. Plead guilty. Makes the trial go so much faster. Beg for the death penalty. Put me out as soon as possible, please. Because the families of those you've murdered, they deserve to know that you did it. They deserve closure. But I don't think that scenario is going to happen either. Because you're selling yourself awfully short. Just weak arguments. That's all you come up with in the moments. When you really are trying to convince yourself to do it, all you can come up with is the weakest of arguments. You turn into a Democrat, and everything's the Green New Deal. It's just weak arguments with, oh, but everything's going to be so much better. Yeah. A life without you is like a life without farting cows. It just wouldn't be as much fun when senators write about it in bills. It's weak arguments. Because you don't have anything good. Because there's no good reason to do it. So stop thinking about it. You've thought about it. Nice try. No. If Charles Manson came up to me with the arguments that you had, I'd go, well, dude, you know, you're kind of a piece of shit. But I do not in you see Charles Manson anywhere. So stop trying to come up with the weak arguments. Accept that it isn't worth it. Accept that we're all better for having you here. And just put it out of your mind. But I mean, this is really it. This is all that I can do. This is really all I can say to you. I can't. You know, every day on this channel isn't going to become let's convince somebody to not kill themselves. I'm not doing this again. I'm out. I'm tapped out. I have nothing else to say on this topic. I have no more videos on this to make. That's why I don't like making these videos. Because they come with possibly unintended consequences. And because there really isn't a whole lot to say. You have weak arguments. Recognize them for that. And realize that weak arguments is all you get when you're trying to explain away a bad idea. But I got nothing else. So I would appreciate it if you would shoot me a message through some sort of messenger where we can take this into a more private scenario wherein I can have an actual back and forth with you. I think that would be the next logical step. I would like to encourage you to do that. other than that, I got nothing else. If what I've said so far hasn't convinced you, it's because you're just ignoring me. So, but you keep watching. It's a good sign. Gives me hope. It's funny where you find it when you need it. Huh?